this goes down to the original Wei Jin Chu.
Oh, really?
That was in January, and then Chantel was in January. All the other ones from here up are all. If you do a search for
Yeah, that's what I've been looking at.
including about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you include Chantel and a new one too, Andy Kerr, like 7 for DDA for one spot.
See, I just saw
Why are there
3.
so many? They're good problem.
Yeah.
Any reports from
We're going to call our meeting to order.
I talked to John.
Never like that.
No. You need to hear you.
Sure. How are you? I'd like to welcome you to our meeting this evening. I would ask, please, if you have cell phones, to please put them on silence or turn them off at this time. We will stand and have a pledge of allegiance by Councilmember Wagenhouse and prayer by Councilmember Malinowski.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please bow with me. Lord, we thank you for this day, for the chance to serve, and for the blessings of this community we call home. Guide us with wisdom beyond our own. Help us listen with compassion, lead with integrity, and act with courage. May our differences strengthen our commitment to justice, kindness, and what is right. Bless all gathered here with purpose and unity as we work for a city that is safe, fair, and full of opportunity. We offer this prayer with hope and a desire to serve well. Amen.
Amen. And before I start our meeting tonight, I would just like to, along with my other colleagues on the council, would like to really give special thanks to our volunteer fire department for the dedication that they showed to our community and to the building that burned up on yesterday afternoon. They were certainly brave soldiers. They did an awesome job, along with the other volunteer departments that was there. I believe Greensboro, Social Circle, Morgan County Fire Department, and our city fire department. So we're so fortunate in our city to have volunteers that work as hard as they do. And this council and our city manager, we're very grateful for the job that they do for our community. At this time, our consent agenda, minutes from our June 27th call meeting. We can get a nod to put those on our regular meeting for August.
Mayor, can we just move, this is a regular meeting, I would move to accept the minutes
Sure.
as presented for June 27th.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor, show of hands. Opposed, none, vote unanimously. Thank you so much. Public hearing, Jill. Text amendment 2025.016, Daniel Levinson. Amusement, recreation, industrial. Sheriff.
The applicant is requesting a text amendment to the, to introduce all other amusement and recreation industries, NAIC 713990, as a permitted use in industrial complexes. The initial application did not appear to meet the standards 1, 3, or 4 of section 1120.8, as the zoning proposal did not appear consistent with industrial complexes as described in the ordinance. The initial proposal was also not the most narrow proposal, as it would introduce an extensive list of land uses that are not compatible with industrial zone properties. However, the proposal did appear to meet standard 2, as the text amendment would appear compatible with portions of the comprehensive plan. For example, many properties zoned I and I1 are within the commercial investment areas illustrated in the character area map, and appropriate land uses supported in the commercial investment areas are general businesses, restaurants, retail, and professional offices and services. So like I said, the proposal was not initially compatible with industrial complexes. However, the applicant did proffer up 3 mitigation strategies to help mitigate our concern. So the first mitigation strategy would be to implement 33% square footage maximum of any industrial complex for the use by the NAICS code 713990. And that would just help secure our industrial buildings. There would still be space for industry that would want to move into the city. The second was a full separation of truck traffic from all vehicular and pedestrian traffic associated with us by NAICS 713990 within any industrial complex. And like I said, the NAICS code is pretty broad, so the list is quite extensive. So the applicant is offered up a list of uses that are up on the screen there, just to kind of shrink down the uses that would be brought into these industrial complexes. So y'all have a few different options. You can approve or deny the application as is. If you do approve, I would suggest that you do so with the conditions of the 3 mitigation strategies offered by the applicant. The third option would be to approve the text amendment under the condition that the NAICS code 713990 would require conditional use permits in industrial complexes. I would be happy to answer any questions you might have, and I know the applicant is here tonight, and he would also be able to answer some questions.
Okay, thank you
Thanks.
so much. At this time, our public hearing is open. If there's anyone here to speak for this text amendment, please go forward and state your name, sir.
Daniel Levison. I'm the developer of Madison Business Center. I want to thank you for allowing us this time to come speak to you tonight. I thought I'd read a statement as opposed to allowing my emotions to guide me. Believe it or not, this is an emotional topic for me. Your decision tonight could have a significant effect on my business. I'm not a big developer. I'm a small entrepreneurial businessman, just like I assume most of you are. We're here tonight to ask you to request your approval of our text amendment to the current industrial zoning code. Our request does differ slightly from what the Planning and Zoning Committee, my understanding, conditionally approved on Monday, June 23rd. We understand and respect there are concerns with providing a global text amendment allowing sports training facilities to operate within industrial zoning. However, it is our understanding from Planning and Zoning's initial review of our request that the request is compatible with the recreational section of the current code. If the City Council would be open to some flexibility regarding usage, a recreational training facility would be acceptable today. Some of you may recall 2 years ago, we worked with Planning and Zoning to develop the current code for guidelines in developing multi-tenant and multi-building industrial product here in Madison. We feel, based on that involvement, our current request falls under the recreational section of the code, which would allow baseball, volleyball, gymnastics, cheerleading, as well as individualized coaching, which is really what we're asking for, even a shorter list than what is put up on the screen. Although we understand a decision must be made in a global context and not just for Madison Business Center, if the council approves our request, we will proactively make the following changes at Madison Business Center to mitigate any safety concerns. As it was stated, we will create some signage for pedestrian and truck traffic. Just wanted to give you something visually to look at. I think it's the second page.
Thank you.
As you can, if you flip to the second page, you can see that, basically our original design does also separate truck traffic from pedestrian traffic. All of the pedestrians enter along the storefront glass of the building, and the truck traffic goes, into the truck court. Also, 2 years ago, we initially proposed and the council approved the project to have up to 10 tenants. If the council will approve our request today, we'll commit to limiting our project to just 6 tenants, which will significantly reduce the truck traffic as well. We hope you will also keep in mind that this type of traffic for these sports facilities is typically late afternoon and on the weekends. That's at the opposite time that you typically have the heavier truck traffic. So we don't feel that it imposes any additional safety concerns. We'd also like to limit the number of training facilities to a maximum of 2 in the 3 buildings. A little bit different than what was stated earlier. These facilities are typically 15 to 25,000 square feet. And so anything less than 37% as far as a percentage ratio will really ultimately limit it to 1 tenant. We're already having discussions with the gymnastics facility looking for 23 to 25,000 square feet and would look to occupy in the spring of 2026. So we would ask that, you know, if there's a percentage requirement, that it would either be 2 tenants out of the 6 or 37%, or we're going to be basically kept to 1 tenant. I've had discussions with cheerleading companies. You know, we see this type of tenant in these spaces and our other products over the years, so I know we're going to have prospects. You know, again, we understand that these changes must be considered in a global context and not just regarding Madison Business Center, but we hope that our mitigation strategies and reduction of total occupants will alleviate any safety concerns as you consider our request. We're also hopeful you'll consider how these additional uses could add to the quality of life for many of the parents in the Madison community. We've spoken to numerous parents who drive their children 30 to 45 minutes one way to provide this type of training and coaching. Brandon Fish and Casey Wheeler, the future owners of this business, are both residents of Madison and have also done considerable research throughout the community. Their research also determined a significant need and demand for these types of spaces. Casey Wheeler, one of the owners, is here tonight to speak to you for your approval of our request. In the hopes of providing some flexibility in your decision, we'd like you to request one of 2 considerations. Either approve our text amendment as is and allow these types of uses I mentioned earlier, or at least approve our conditional amendment, which we've already filled out the application for and submitted, as opposed to making us wait 5 weeks for planning and zoning to meet, then another 2 weeks to come back in front of this council, who hopefully will approve it. This will ultimately push us out 3 months for a building permit. And although I know that the council isn't too concerned about my interest carry, it's costing me $20,000 a month. And as I said, I'm not Trammell Crow, I'm not Prologis. This is painful and emotional. We came into your community and we've used only local contractors and local service providers. And we built what I believe the city council at the time said they wanted, smaller industrial buildings. I built a 36,000 and I can build another 40 and another 40,000 square foot building after that. So we're asking, actually pleading with you to show us some flexibility, which the current code suggests is available if the city council will be so inclined. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Livingston. Are there anyone else here to speak for?
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and council members. My name is Casey Wheeler, and I appreciate the opportunity to sit in front of y'all this afternoon and speak to you. And as Mr. Livingston said, this is an opportunity for all Morgan County citizens. And you know, as we all know, time is the biggest asset that we have. It's something that we can never get back. You know, and so through our extensive research, communication, and just children in athletics throughout the community and around, we do learn that a lot of time and effort goes to traveling to other facilities outside of the county, and it's a lot of valuable time that they'll never be able to get back. And so with an opportunity close to town, it's going to give those children the opportunity to continue to stay with academics and have that time to do their homework, parents to cook those meals and to have those family dinners at home. But it's also going to give those kids an opportunity to continue to hone in on you know, their athleticisms and to learn and to grow. As a former athlete myself, I can tell you the extreme measures that I took to be at the level I was to play D1 college baseball, and the opportunities it gave me and the life lessons that it taught me. And so being able to bring in a facility of this nature, an athletic facility that's, you know, primarily focused on hitting, pitching, and speed training for baseball, softball, you know, football, and track. We have great community support just by doing our research with the local high school baseball and softball coaches, middle school baseball, softball coaches, as well as all football coaches that we have their support. And so that's where we plan on going with our training and being able to utilize people in the community that are highly well respected at their craft and bringing that opportunity to the children, you know, of this community. And, you know, once again, I've got 4 kids, you know, ranging from primary school, and my first one's going to be entering high school this year, and to see the support that even my wife at the pickup line at the schools sees when people come up, how excited they are about a potential opportunity with just our simple research, just goes a long way and just fuels my heart, because it's all about the kids and being able to give them opportunities and be able to give family, you know, that time back that they're losing driving to the closest opportunity 45 minutes away in Athens or Covington, and having to go outside the community. So we appreciate your time, appreciate the consideration, and thank you so much.
So just a quick question for you. What time are you looking for? Like afternoons? You looking at a specific time? What time?
Yes, sir. It would be afternoons in nature.
For how long? 10, 11 o'clock at night?
Oh, no, sir. Probably. I mean, we're probably looking right after school, probably anywhere from 3 to 3:30 to probably 8:30
Okay.
at night. And then on weekends, you know, being a little bit more open on the weekends. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you all very much.
Is there anyone else here to speak for? Anyone here to speak against? No one here to speak against. This public hearing is closed, and it's back to our council members.
I have a question, if I could, Mayor, for Jill.
Sure.
The list of activities, I assume the yellow highlighted ones are the ones that the applicant is interested in presenting?
Those were the ones that he was interested in possibly considering. He wasn't interested in the other ones that were not highlighted at this time.
And I don't see it in the future. I mean, again, over the years, these are the types of facilities that we've leased to in warehouse spaces. You know, again, primarily these sports training facilities for baseball, football, volleyball. You know, not looking to put a Gold's Gym over there. Kind of focused on the kids. Cheerleading's a big one. I've had a few conversations with folks about that.
What can you tell me, Mr. Levinson, about the amusement device? What are we talking about there?
I mean, that's just part of the code. I mean, that's not part of what we're asking for. We're not trying to create an amusement park. This is a sports training facility, or these would be sports training facilities. Not trying to create a carnival or some, you know, weekend activity. They're coming there for a specific purpose.
I've got just one more question, if I could, for you, sir. I think you mentioned the size of the industrial buildings that you think the council wants. What can you say to the people who might say, are we not taking a potential industrial building out of the industrial use and putting it to something else that really isn't tax-generating industry?
Not getting that many calls for that today. You know, and this is it's a for-profit business, so I'm just trying to, you know, handle and lease to the people that do. You know, we had a call for a space a little bit bigger than that on one of our buildings. Wasn't able to do it, but we were able to work with Peak Steel, and they're doing a build-to-suit on their land. So when an opportunity comes, if we can't do it at our project because we're focused on smaller buildings, as we thought the city wanted, we're working with Peak because they have a little bit of land across the street. They probably have enough for 2 or 3 more buildings, depending on the size. So we did develop some industry by our park just being there.
Yeah, thank you.
And Mayor, if I may, since this has come, this is back to the council, so really it's a discussion with our planning person for the moment. And then clarifying, but I want to start with, if you don't mind, Jill, start with you first, because I really want to understand this a little bit better and then possibly have more questions. But so I was reading the application, I was reading what was in our packet, and I still found myself a little confused about things. Is there anything built on this property at this time?
Yes, there's one building existing, and he plans to phase 2 more buildings.
Okay, so I guess I went to Q Public, and we haven't updated that yet,
Yeah,
apparently.
it's just not showing.
And that's
on there
okay,
yet, yeah.
I'm fine with that. So the application is for 3 buildings. We're looking at the use being sports being more of kind of a commercial than industrial, is that correct?
Well, the buildings would still be zoned industrial.
Okay.
So this text amendment would just introduce this NAICS code into a certain percentage of this complex.
Okay, and I saw a 33%. Could you help me understand? Could you spell that out for me?
So that would, and I know Mr. Levison was possibly proposing a percentage change, but that was the initial one we had discussed. So that would be the square footage maximum for the complex would stop at 33% with this NAICS code. And then the rest of the complex would be left for industrial
Okay.
use.
And do we have so industry, because I'm seeing the truck bays and such, so do we have a sense yet, and maybe Mr. Levinson can address it, but for you probably know as well, so sort of what is sort of industry are we looking at? What are we thinking? What kind of industry do you think would we end up with here?
That I'm not entirely sure. I might call in the planning director
That's
to answer
okay,
that.
yeah, I'm just trying to get the big picture is
Yeah.
all. Thank you, Monica.
Sure, no problem. We're letting Jill answer as many questions as she can.
Yeah.
She's getting her sea legs. So what we would see there is industry that we see happen up and down Commerce Drive. There are small facility industries, craft industries, small production, manufacturing, mostly goods processing, stamping. We've seen some steel work. We also see anything that you see past Rima Tip Top on the left in those small facilities. They're roughly 2,000 to 3,000 square feet. There was a big demand for that when Commerce Drive was going in. And I believe that was about the time that Mr. Levinson was looking at his development, but he was looking at it in a congregate attached walls fashion as opposed to independent site fashion. So those would be the types of industries we still would expect. I would add one thing, since I heard Mr. Levinson's request for 37%. You could have an option where you adopt either the conditional use or limit it to a condition of percentage that you should set at whatever makes you feel comfortable. But at 51%, we would want it to see it go to a commercial zoning. Because the primary use will have shifted. Now, he does sit, Mr. Levinson actually, he might be struggling right now, but he is in a very fortuitous location because it abuts commercial and it butts industrial. So he could flip it to a commercial complex at the 51%. And he may get a lot of interest. I know that we've seen him, at least one person that's interested in more recreation, so.
Right, okay, and so don't go anywhere yet.
I won't, but I'm gonna try to let
Okay,
Jill
fine.
answer every question she can.
Okay, so I get that, that's great explanation, I have a better understanding of that. So what we're looking at then is possibly a 33 to 37% commercial build-out, recreation build-out in these, and that would happen in each of these buildings. Each of these buildings.
Combined of the 3 buildings.
Understood, okay. And then, so you've explained the industry. What is our cap for truck traffic? What do we, and I know it's, we don't get to really, there must be what's a threshold, is that correct? Don't we have thresholds on all of these for trucks?
So the threshold didn't exist at the time that Mr. Levinson got the whole development approved and all the buildings. So if he were going to do anything that would increase truck traffic, then we would request a traffic study and go through that process. But what he's proposing would decrease truck traffic.
Right.
So therefore, we have not requested that of him.
Excellent. Oh, no, I appreciate that. I mean, I'm just looking for unintended consequences down the road is all. Now, my other question is this: given the fact that we have both industry and commercial, that we abut against both of those, is there any benefit, I mean, if there any benefit to us flipping that, I mean, down the road or whatever, to just commercial? Or do we lose some tax benefit for the city because perhaps our industry tax base is more beneficial to the city than commercial tax base? Does that make sense?
Say, I do want you to answer.
Betsy, that's a fairly complicated question you just asked, and neither Jill nor myself will be adequate to the task.
Okay.
Industry makes more of a capital improvement. However, with their exemption for equipment in Freeport, sometimes they're not a one-to-one comparison. Even though our sports clubs and users don't generate retail traffic, they actually do generate revenue, which Mr. Levinson will spend those rents and those fees to pay taxes and that tax improvement. So I don't really think that the capital improvement on the land changes that much, because Mr. Levinson's 3 proposed buildings, the infrastructure build out, that all remains the same. So you're
Right.
not losing any capital.
Right.
Usually the bigger tax breaks in terms of both equipment and Freeport go to bigger industries.
Right.
So there is some loss there, but you might be gaining that with commercial. But I would defer to someone like maybe John or Karen that has more of a finance background. That's not my question.
No, and that's close enough for me. I mean, that's total ballpark.
Could I
And
just
that-
make one
Yes,
point, excuse me?
Yeah.
There's confusion, because there's been a lot of conversation recently about the composition of the tax digest. There's nothing that I have heard that the gentleman is proposing that would not be a tax benefit for the city. When we think about the financial benefit to the city, the real issue is it residential, which we know for the most part, unless they're very high-end homes, will be a financial drain, as opposed to commercial and industrial, where in other words, the amount of city services that the gentleman will need are very low. And so I would suggest that when we get into this conversation, that we focus more on, is it residential that we know is going to be a drain, if we're only interested in the financial aspects, and not delve too deeply into the difference between commercial and industrial, because they're both advantageous to the city.
Right, got you.
May I
No.
comment?
Sure.
This gentleman.
You'll have to come to the mic if you don't mind. Thank you, Mr.
This
Levinson.
gentleman's completely correct. When I bought this property, my taxes were $3,800. This year, I'm paying $25,000.
Yeah.
And I do believe I came here for a reason. I think there is opportunity, but I got to hold on until that opportunity
Right.
shows up.
Right.
So may I ask you, Mr. Levinson, one question since you're there? So I'm hearing 2 numbers. I'm hearing 33% and 37%, which,
The confusion is when we talked, and they both gave me a lot of guidance. And as I went through the statement I wanted to make tonight and started looking back at some of our tenants in other parts of the city, sometimes the tenants are bigger. You know, this particular tenant took half the building. It's 18,000 square feet. You know, I happen to be having multiple conversations with this group that wants 23 to 25, and when I've gone back and looked at, you know, cheerleading companies, gymnastic companies, I've had multiple of these types of tenants in buildings over the years. They can be anywhere from 15 to 25,000. And so if you go with the 33%, right now my project was approved for 115,000 square feet. I couldn't do this deal that I'm talking to the person about which will likely go into the second building. So that's the discrepancy in the percentage. So what I was asking for is, out of 6 tenants, I get to have 2. And the next one, I haven't sent this other prospect a lease, we haven't agreed on economics. The next one might be 18. But what I do know is over time, they range in that size range, and I don't want to miss an opportunity
Sure. Yeah,
if it comes
understood.
along.
So can I ask you this, Mr. Levinson, when these groups come into town, do they usually stay 2 or 3 nights?
They could. I mean, I don't know that Casey and Brandon are talking about any kind of, batting tournaments like they're having the home run derby tonight. In that case, yes, I could see that, but I'll have to be honest. I think there's probably more benefit to all the fast food folks out there than, whether they'll come in town. And this facility is primarily going to 90+% be for current residents and their families and the people moving here. So it's not it's not like we're putting in several fields and we'd have tournaments. This is just a training facility for
Right.
basically grammar school and high school and college kids.
Okay, thank you.
That's great.
Mr. Mayor, may I?
Sure,
Mr. Mayor, may I make a comment?
yes.
I just wanted to indicate that the planning department discussed the request, and we calculated the 33% off of one building. So as long as y'all are drawing the line between the primary and the secondary use, as long as it remains secondary and under 49%, the number is entirely up to you. We just want to see it, there's a primary use and a secondary use.
Okay, great. Thank you, Monica.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. And that actually answered my first question, which was that sort of arbitrary in the sense that it was under 50 and just made good sense?
It was just
but
based on the
37
first building that was already
would work.
built,
Okay.
that's all.
Thank you. And should the council see fit to approve this with the 37 and the 3 footnotes on what you wrote for us, or either approve it as a conditional use? Does one or either of those give you less heartburn or help you feel better about it, or from a planning?
No, not necessarily. I do think the applicant's mitigation strategies make the proposal much more appropriate to this space than if we were just allowing the whole NAICS code to be, to take up these buildings.
So, Rick, I might offer you, instead of the 3 that we have written down, given the applicant's request for more square footage, the tenancy doesn't matter. 2, 6, 8, because that's just about how you divide the square footage. So I would encourage the council to graciously thank the applicant for the number of tenancy limits, but I don't think that is the impactful part of that. And y'all could allow the square footage to go up to not to exceed 49%, giving him the more flexibility to meet his needs. But I would limit the list. If you're not going to do conditional, this gets to the heart of your question. If you're not going to do conditional, I would limit it to the exact uses that he wants and not all the uses in the list. And that makes it a more narrow decision, and that's what we would encourage.
Mr. Mayor,
Sure.
may I? Mr. Levinson, $3,300 to $25,000. How long have you owned that property?
2.5 years. Took me, we graded all 3 sites, put in all the infrastructure and built the first building.
Okay, so it was the improvements that
Oh,
led
yes,
you to
sir.
that? Okay. I was just wondering if you have watched us lose some of our industry in town that's moved out, and if you were ever tempted. Sounds like you came here with that purpose to do what you're talking about doing
Yes,
here.
sir.
But I was thinking, some of the properties that we have in town that are vacant right now might serve a similar purpose and could be retooled for the kinds of things you're talking about.
I think they could. From, our research, a lot of them have insufficient ceiling heights, which is a big thing. Older buildings tend to have a lot of columns, small column spacing. Our building's clear span, which is a huge thing for manufacturing. So I think, you know, like the Wellington project, it's for, you know, smaller 4,000 square foot tenants. You know, we're looking, you know, the smallest deal we'll do is split the building in half. Now, some of that, quite honestly, is cost. I mean, everything's double. You know, Casey's space is 900 square feet. It's costing me $200,000 to build it out. And the rest of it's open. I got to put a demising wall in, but, you know, that's one of the reasons, you know, I'm okay with fewer tenants, because the cost to build out is kind of skyrocketed since the pandemic. And also the prospects we have seen. We had 2 prospects for the buildings and a lot of uncertainty out there, so nobody's really doing anything right now. Not sure when's that going to change, and that's why, you know, getting these folks in, paying a little rent is even more critical for me.
I guess I had another question about some of the purposes. And when I was finished looking at it, was a little bit confused as well, because in one place I'd be looking at batting practice or cages or whatever it might be, and then hockey. And I'm not sure how hockey fits in to the whole
We
plan.
didn't ask for hockey.
Hockey wasn't on there?
Not in my narrower list, may have been on the list they put.
So you're seeing the full list of the NAICS code, and my suggestion was that you should limit it to the ones the applicant wants off of it.
Okay,
But those
the
are all the
highlighted
ones
ones.
included in the code.
It was highlighted in yellow, though.
So
Well, my list was even shorter than the ones highlighted in yellow.
Okay.
You know, sports training facilities for baseball, football, volleyball, gymnastics, and cheerleading. And all of those would encompass personal training, so that is not really a separate category, but those are the ones that we'll see. I don't think we're going to see hockey come out or amusement parks, but those types of training facilities, I'm confident of the 6 tenants that go in there, 2 of them would be one of, you know, a combination of those 2, you know, few facilities I mentioned.
Right.
And those facilities aren't available right now. Like, I think that the high school has developed some batting facilities that,
Well, Casey and his partner did a lot of research. They've worked, my understanding, with the high schools and folks around town, and whether they're there, maybe they're not to the level that is really beneficial, but, you know, they're talking about quite an expense for this endeavor, and I think they've done a lot more research, and I talked to a half dozen families, primarily the various contractors, all who had kids, and they all said, look, we're driving 30, 45 minutes one way. And, you know, capturing that time back is why I mentioned the quality of life.
I know that to be true. But Casey, did you have something to say about that?
Yes, sir. I just kind of wanted to speak to your question earlier about potential overnight stays
Sure,
and things of that nature. So earlier today, for example, took my son all the way to the other side of Monroe, a 45-minute ride to go to his hitting lesson with his coach. The person before him was a young lady from Arizona that flew all the way in with one specific trainer to have hitting practice. And they're also playing a tournament in town, well, I say town, I say Atlanta. And so she will be staying in Monroe. The hitting coach is one that's also guaranteed that he's willing to come with us when we open up this facility because it's closer to him, and so we'll bring that. He's a nationally acclaimed hitting coach for softball, coaches the #1 fast pitch softball team in the country at 16, 17, 18U. Kids from California come in, things of that nature. And so your point earlier, sir. And then to yours, yes, they did just build us a new hitting facility, or hitting cages over there, but what we're wanting to offer is an indoor facility for when it rains and when the weather kicks in, and it's no fun to sit out there with your hand clenched like that trying to throw darts at a young man or a young lady. But also the training aspect. You know, one of the trainers that we're going to talk to is currently a teacher, a PE teacher at the elementary school that's also a cheerleading coach and things like that. She used to drive up to the yard in Watkinsville to go train, but it got to be such a burden for her that she doesn't want to drive there anymore. But being in town is going to open up that opportunity. So availability of those cages, there's only 2. You know, we want to open up something that offers more wider space, like Ms. Williams said, no columns, so it's opening up a field aspect where we can have the young ones learning in field, base running, things of that nature, but then also having lessons from highly trained people that we've met through our years of travel ball and things like that, that we've built relationships with, and just hoping to grow our youth in that regard.
Thank you, Casey, appreciate that. There are no more questions?
Yeah, I
No.
just had one more.
Sure.
You go, you go.
I did, as I was doing a little bit of research in this, I did see a mention of a hitting coach. Is that you, Mr. Levinson?
A hitting coach?
Yeah. No? Somebody,
Teach basketball.
I thought one of your principals was a batting coach. Did I get that wrong?
I think what Casey, referring to Casey, has created connections and relationships with a variety of different coaches that have already agreed to come to this facility. So,
Okay.
yeah, my involvement is with being the landlord.
Okay. I do, it's not quite related to this, but anytime I hear anyone talk about property tax, I feel an obligation to educate the public just a little bit. If you pay
Yes.
property tax in Morgan County, 19% of that is from the city. That's all. I know you realize that.
Making the comment, we have increased the tax base.
Yeah. Mr. Levinson knows that, but I use that as an educational opportunity for people. The majority of your property tax comes from schools, followed by the county, and the smallest portion at about 19% is the city. Just wanted to make that point. One last clarification on this. So if we were to approve one of the mitigation suggestions that they make here, the implementation at 33% square foot, I'm a little confused. I believe I heard the word cumulative out of there. There's one building now. So if that is the approval, 33% of that building would be the maximum allowable for this. When they build the second building, it could be 0 because the first building could go up to 66% and they're over the, in other words, are we talking about 33% each building all together? How does that work?
I mean,
Well, if it's 33%.
Well, my question is actually for staff, Mr. Levinson, if you don't mind, sir.
correct me if I'm wrong, but being that the 3 buildings are phased, I would say that the 33 to the 49% would be across the whole complex. Is that correct? Okay.
Is that what you had in mind, Mr. Levinson?
Yes, sir. The current tenant is taking 18,000. If you kept it to 33 per building, that would be around 10,000 square feet, and we're not even marketing spaces that small. Our whole discussion with planning and zoning has been based on, we're gonna build 3 buildings. As soon as I get this one leased, or if I were to sell it, next one's coming out
Yeah.
of the ground. We've spent $6 million out there and have no revenue coming in. So as fast as I can get that second building up and third building up, we're gonna do it. And so, yeah, for the complex. So if I were to lease this full building to another cheerleading company or something, then basically I'm saying I wouldn't have any more in the rest of the project. But I don't think I'll lease the other side. I think it'll be more of a, typical light industrial. And then, if we were allowed to, in the second building, go up to 49 for the project, then I could still negotiate with this 23,000 square foot gymnastics company. So I'm looking at this as the total 3 buildings, which we expect to get built in the next 18 months or less.
Would I be correct in assuming that if you had a choice of either your 3 mitigation standards or the conditional use, you would prefer the 3 mitigation
Yes, sir.
strategies, since time seems to be of the essence?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Councilmember Bland.
And to, if I can, piggyback on that, but Mr. Levison would prefer 37% instead of 33, and staff acknowledged that that number was just sort of a number they picked, but as long as it's under 50, so it could be up to 49%, that would suffice from y'all's perspective.
Yes, sir.
And the whole argument for that is to keep it industrial,
Yep.
majority industrial, and not get it into the commercial.
Yes.
Have I got that right?
Yes, sir. I assume that if Mr. Livingston is fortunate enough to attract 6 more sports squads and they wanted to use the whole facility, he would just come in and we would rezone it commercial. So at the point it tips over 50%, we're looking for the primary use to reflect the occupancy.
Thank you.
I have one quick,
Sure.
if you, thank you. Personally, I mean, first of all, I think this is great. So God love you for this. This is wonderful for the kids. I think, I'm happy, based on suggestion of staff, just to go ahead and push it all the way up to 49%. And then we for the moment, as opposed to picking 33 or 37, if it's all the same, then I say, I mean, I personally would like to just have it, see it at 49%. My only other question, actually I have two. One, so we're talking about how hockey's not part of any of this, but I'm looking at the mitigation strategies, and that's in there. So, I mean,
Yeah.
and that's okay. I mean, I don't really care, as long as we're covering everything that Mr. Levinson wants.
Right,
For
so
his facilities.
I was going, the third to the last and the second to last are the recreational sports clubs and the recreational sports teams. If we just shrunk it down to those two, that would cover the volleyball, gymnastics, cheerleading, baseball, basketball, softball. It would cover those things. So if you wanted to shrink it down to those two things, if you don't have any hockey in your future, then those two items would cover all of those sports.
So do we want to narrow it that much? Do we want, I mean, I just don't want us to get caught later.
What?
You know what I'm saying? But that's great if that works out, especially for the weight or the training, weight training and such is what I'm hearing too.
Yeah, it's up to you if you can pick and choose from that list if you see fit, but you can narrow it down to those two, and that would cover what Mr. Levison is hoping to accomplish.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Back to the council for a vote.
Mr. Mayor, I'll try my hand at a motion here. I move to approve the text amendment based on the application, public hearing, and discussion, and considering applicable standards with the following conditions, clarifications, and/or changes. Implementation of not exceeding 49% of square footage. Installation of signage and full separation of truck traffic from vehicular and pedestrian traffic. And limiting the uses to, my list disappeared up there,
Put them back.
recreational sports clubs and operating sports facilities and recreational sports teams and leagues.
Did that catch it all?
Yes.
Okay. Got a
If
second?
Rick catches a second, I'm going to ask 2 clarifications.
Okay,
I second that.
I'll second. There any more discussion? Monica?
Okay, just for the record, so that the clerk picks up on it. Rick, when you referred to 49%, you meant the congregate industrial square footage, correct?
Correct.
Okay, or the complex square footage. And then the second one was, everybody understands that personal coaching and that is considered an ancillary and customary use to a sports club and sports teams using the facility. So if we have personal coaching, we're not going to have any concerns that that's an ancillary use, correct?
Correct.
Personal coaching, you said?
Yes, sir, like a batting coach
coaches.
teaching a specific student. That's not a team playing, that's a very specific. And we're comfortable with that. I just want to make sure that that makes the record, that personal coaching is considered ancillary.
Absolutely.
I thought you could help me clarify my thoughts on that. Thank you.
All in favor, show of hands. Vote unanimously. Vote approved. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. On the legal matters, before we go to A, we need to, our city attorney is not with us tonight, and we need to take B and C off our agenda and put it on our next agenda.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second,
Are there any more discussion? All in favor, show of hands. Opposed, none, vote unanimously. Thank you so much. Resolutions, polling location, the elections director, Jennifer Durham. Ms. Durham, you will come forward, please.
Thank y'all for having me today.
Thanks for being here.
I spoke to Ms. Gilbert late last year, early this year also. Y'all are scheduled to have city council and mayor elections this year in November, with qualifying next month. And we are also having a statewide, which is also countywide, special election for Public Service Commissioner. So all 5 precincts in November 4th will be open. All the county precincts will be open. I am asking y'all to adopt a resolution for the city election to be held in conjunction with the county election. So all voters who are eligible to vote in the city of Madison election would go to their regular county polling place on November 4th, or early voting, which we love. And it be held as one whole election instead of a separate and apart. First of all, it would save y'all several $1,000s, which I know that y'all are cognizant of taxpayer money, as we all are in government. Also, it helps voters so they're not going to our office, which is the election day polling place, and then either the recreation department or DFAX, which covers all of the city voters. That would help them from making 2 trips, and then also it would all be on one ballot. And we were fortunate in March where we had 3 separate special elections that happened, where Mr. Malinowski ended up being elected. And we had to do it a separate election, specifically because his city council was in the rec department and in DFAX. Rec department, which was District 1 County Commissioner, they are not fully in the city. So it didn't encompass, we would have to have people who don't go to city elections come to the city election office, or people who go to DFAX go to the rec department. And we felt that that would be more confusing to voters. We already have people who always come to our election office on election day saying, no, this is where I vote, because they're so used to early voting. To tell them to one time come for a county election would just have been a little more confusing. But this one, everybody in the county is scheduled to vote at their county polling place on November 4th. So we are asking for y'all to pass the resolution so that we held it in conjunction. So city council and mayor election will be on the same ballot as the county election.
So moved.
Sounds like a great idea. That accomplished by my council.
Yeah, just thank you, Ms. Dorn, for coming and explaining that to us. I think having both city and county elections at the same location by precinct on the election day makes abundant sense to me. And this is only applicable to this one election, is it not?
It is very specific to this one, and it is a temporary change. So if y'all happen to have another vacancy or special election, or in 2 years when you have another general election, it would go back to what it's been, which is our office is your election day polling place.
And early voting will continue to be like normal at your
Correct.
election office only?
Yeah. And in March, people who were able to vote in the county and the city had to go through and check in, vote, scan their ballot, and then come back and do the exact same thing. They did it twice. This one, when it's in conjunction, you do it once and everything's on the same ballot.
Well, thank you so much, and hopefully
Okay.
this will save you a lot of headaches.
Yes, and I do want to point out, when we did our March election, everybody, I will say, that came to vote for the city council and for the county District 1, they all made the trip. We were watching those numbers. Every single voter who came to our office
wow.
went to the rec department that day. We had one person who came early voted on one election but didn't want to vote in the other one. But so we had one number discrepancy where they were eligible to vote. But so, you know, people wanted to vote in that election. I'm not so sure people are going to want to vote in the Public Service Commissioner based on the primary that we just had. it was such a low turnout.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank
It's back to this council for a vote. It just seems logical to me.
Was there did I hear a motion made by Mr.
You wanna
Malinowski?
redo your
I
motion?
would-
Yes, sir. I move that we accept that proposal.
I will second that motion.
Are there any more discussion? All in favor, show of hands. Opposed is none. Vote unanimously, and it's done, Dora. Thank you so much for
Thank
bringing this
y'all.
to our
Thank you.
attention.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Are there any other unfinished business we need to discuss tonight or new business? If not, the floor is open for public comments, and I'd just like to continue to read our public comments. And just know, public comments allows any interested citizen up to 5 minutes of unfettered and uninterrupted access to make a statement on issues of importance to you. And this is your time to make a statement, and we will not interrupt you, nor will we entertain questions and answers during this time. However, if a response is required, the appropriate council member or staff will follow up with you after the meeting. And the only rule that we have is one, requires civility, respect. And we ask that you do not attack or make personal comments against any of our council members or anyone in this room. A lot of times people want to know when people are up making comments, the council and the mayor has the right to listen, but they do not make comments. You have the right to talk. The council member do not make comments. And you can always refer your comments back to staff after our meeting is adjourned. At this time, are there any public comments?
Yes, it is.
He's got a mic. Why don't you go up and listen?
Okay, thank you, sir. Yes, sir, I have heard comment.
If you hold your mic up so we can hear you.
Yes.
Testing. Okay. I appreciate y'all giving me an opportunity to express my opinion about the city. I've been here over a year. I've been at the meeting like over a year trying to get some work did in my neighborhood. That most of the city, they probably said that they would do it, but he had nobody show up yet. I know what Mayor meant when he said don't make no comment about nobody on the committee. So I'm not going to say who did what or who didn't do what they said that they would do. But most everybody on the city commitment had talked to me about the problem that we have in our neighborhood. We got a wall about to fall down that the city owned, that the city put up, and then put it up right at my front door. I hadn't seen nobody from the city committee had came down and took a look at none of the problem that we got. We building sidewalk up on the main street, and we got sidewalk in my neighborhood about to fall in. And I know somebody live in my neighborhood come by that wall every day on his way to work to the city. And I know he must see the wall, but he had not paid no attention. The problem that I had with my home that the city had an engineer to do civil lake private, and they turned all the water on me. And the city had said that they would take care of it, but he had nobody did nothing about that yet. And my problem is, if anybody on the committee go be out and look at the problem that the city got, do y'all go out and look at the problem that people talk about? Do y'all know what's going on in the city? the city people hire people not qualified to do the work that they supposed to do because they cover their uncle, their brother, their nephew, and they give a job at the city, and they not qualified to do that work.
I don't normally make comments, but I.
Wait,
Let me say this, I would want you to sit there and make accusations
Okay.
against our city employees
Okay,
because
okay.
the city only hire qualified employees.
Well, Mel, well, do you think you qualified to be a mayor?
I do.
You do? You do? Well, I think that you're not qualified to be a mayor. You come by my house every day and you see the problem that we got and you say nothing about it. You do nothing about it. You live in my neighborhood. You live in my neighborhood. On Sunday and Saturday, the people ride up down the road, shooting and doing everything. And you the mayor, and you don't come back and let these people know about it. Well, most y'all don't live in my neighborhood. No, y'all don't. Y'all live, probably some of y'all live on Main Street. Where about Main Street are being took care of. They got good sidewalk. They've even upon some on sidewalk now up by the old hospital. And we need sidewalk in our neighborhood. We got our sidewalk falling down, tearing up. We got walls falling down. And we pay tax the way the people on Main Street do. We pay tax. Our tax money paying for those sidewalks, y'all put it in on Main Street. The park on Main Street are being took care of. You ain't gonna go find tennis court up there. You ain't gonna put in a bedroom up there because that is on Main Street. In my neighborhood, I had to bow down and tell the mayor I would pay for some party to be put in the park that you that would put some party up there. And he never said nothing about it. We got so much work in our neighborhood supposed we did. And he ain't nobody did nothing. Because my people don't know. They don't know like y'all know. They not educated the way that some of y'all is. I'm not educated the way that some of y'all is. But I know right from wrong. We pay tax too. We live in Madison. Some of the people living here in Madison probably raised some of y'all children, or maybe took care of some of y'all. I had a mother live here in Madison for 100 years. She passed away when she was 98. She probably took care of some of y'all children. My problem is, we've been talking about work supposed to be did in my neighborhood over 2 years ago. Okay, we got a new city manager of the city. We gonna get that did. Don't worry about it. Ain't nobody did nothing. The park up there. We got one there. We got a park in my neighborhood not being took care of. No drain, water run out in the dirt, water running off of Silver Lake out in the main road. Nobody care about it. You know why? Because that was rat neighborhood. Somebody told me that I don't supposed to say nothing about a black neighborhood or maybe a white neighborhood. Well, it's going on in my neighborhood where I live at. And I don't supposed to be talking about that. Not here in front of the city, all the city people, you know, they don't want to hear nothing like that. But that's going on in our city, of Madison. And we pay tax the way that the people in Main, or here on Main Street do. But we're not being took care of. And some of y'all will come to my neighborhood sometimes. I know y'all sit, hear people talk, and you wonder what's going on. Come over in my neighborhood on the weekend. I know somebody live in my neighborhood. And he had to hear all the racket going on. People ride up down the road on a four-wheeler, but they don't come up on Main Street. You know why? Because that's where y'all live at. They not coming up there, but they come over in my neighborhood. Well, how we can say that your people. Show that my people. But I pay tax for y'all to take care of the people what not my people too. I know right down the street, we spent $300,000 to get that problem fixed down there. City wanted to give me $25,000 to take care of my problem. And they told me to go away. Don't say nothing about it. Go away. Do the city think I'm a nut? You spent $300,000 right down the road to take care of the problem that the builder made. I'm a builder myself. When I make a problem, when I'm a builder a house, I make a problem, I had to go in and took care of it. But this company got the city to pay $300,000 to take care of a problem that he already made. The wall right in front of my house. City paid somebody to put that wall up, but they won't qualify to put the wall up. That way, the wall got to come down and be built up again the right way. City got people going around here pouring concrete. Right out here that we don't have no handicap ramp to go up on that sidewalk. Over on the other side of town. City went in there and pulled the people a driveway back. And the reason why, because for the last 20 years, water had been coming down the road, running into this lady yard, and it killed a tree, and the tree fell on the people's house, tore it up. But the people didn't have enough knowledge to know that they could sue the city. Because they were black people. And if they had been a white person, they would got sued. They were putting a suit against the city. If he had been me, I would put in a suit against the city. Because the city had said that they gonna fit that problem. And they went in there and didn't fit, and they yet ain't fit the problem. Water yet running in the lady yard. And she got another tree that about to fall down. I hope and pray that y'all would do better work. Look at the problem that we got here in the city and get something to do about it. I know my problems need to get fixed, but there's so many more problems in the city that the city need to take care of. The bathroom down in the park where I live at, they said that they gonna do that 5 years ago. I've been talking about it for 10 years, and we yet ain't got nothing done about it. But what I'm gonna do, I know I'll probably be run out of town, but I'm gonna get me a Bama, and I'm gonna ride up down the road and let the people know how the city treat people will live here. People live over on Bundy Street. They cut that road out for coming over toward the railroad track. Never had no problem with a train track or nothing at the problem. That was a problem for the poor people to be able to get to town. But the way they had to come to town now, they had to come all the way around Pearl Street and come up 81 Highway to get to town. Why did the city cut that road out? Well, black people walked into a white person neighborhood. Was that the problem? I don't know what the problem is, but some we don't even know ourselves. And we get back to that problem about the problem that I got. I know my man keep looking at time up there, and I'm fit to get all the map. But somebody wanted to give me $25,000 to take care of my problem when they paid $300,000 down the road.
Thank you, Mr. Chapman, for your public comment.
Any more comments from the public? not, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.